Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
Boom. What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turton from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm keeping it real.
Rob, you're very excited.
I'm pumped. I'm super pumped.
Oh man. I'll talk about it right now because it's gonna come up later. But want to give a massive shout out to our newest sponsor for the podcast, the Show Me Snake Shows. Mickey and Tamara Meyer hooking us up. Heck yeah, Rob. Rob's like, I'm rocking this shirt, man.
I'm pumped. I got the Show Me Snake show on, and like I'm super pumped because Mickey actually wants to make the reptile hobby better. He's pushing USARK. He's pushing having good vendors. He's pushing responsible ownership and teaching the public. That's what I'm about. So I fuck with him. He's cool.
Absolutely, man. So you guys will hear a little bit more about Show Me Snakes and, of course, our year sponsor, Black Box Cages.
Black Box Cages, boom.
In this episode. Yeah, how you doing, Rob? It's been a little bit. I've been away dealing with family stuff, but how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, dude. I started a new job, and I spent a lot of time outside, so I've just been like field herping while I work. And so I've been
paid to field herp? What the heck?
I mean, that's not exclusively what I'm doing, but I've found like 4 or 5 DK snakes just like out and about while I'm working, and I'm like, yeah, a little bit of snake action that pumps up the day,
in February,
makes it a little bit less boring. Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So I know people are here not for us, but for our guests, so I don't want to make them wait. But we're super excited. We're talking with another one of our friends from above. We're hanging out tonight with Will from Royal Canadian Reptiles. Let's bring him on here.
Boom!
What's up, dude?
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I can't complain at all. Life's good.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Okay, so before we dive deep into all the stuff that we were talking about before we went live, for anybody who doesn't know you, can you give us the brief synopsis of who you are, what got you into reptiles, that kind of stuff?
I mean, that classic story, grew up loving animals, still to this day love animals. Always found reptiles fascinating. Had a ball python as a kid. My dad's a veterinarian, so having snakes was always like super cool. It was no problem there. And basically, I went off to college, got rid of the original ball python I had for years, and went off to college. Walked past honestly, the pet store I used to walk by had lemurs. It had like a cage with lemurs.
That's dope.
And I wasn't even going in to look at snakes. I was going to look at lemurs like every day. They're like right at the window. And they had this cage, and you could put your hands up, and they'd come up and like touch on your hands and stuff. And I got to know the owner because he saw me every day. And anyways. Classic story, ball python in the back, wasn't selling. I was like, I don't have any money, but I'll like take this. And I came in and helped him clean fish tanks and stuff. And he gave me the snake, and I went home and did the classic like ball python. And the first thing that popped up was like, boom, I just Googled ball python images. And it was just like, what the hell? Why doesn't my snake look like that one? That one's way cooler, And here we are. I went to my dad. I had bred some stuff. I went to dad, and dad was just about it as I was, and we kind of went into business together. And still to this day, it's helped me out a ton, get us off the ground, and it's been crazy. I can't believe it's almost 14 years now. Like it's just like
that's badass, dude.
It's wild, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. So now I want to know what kind of lemurs were in that store.
Yeah,
do you remember? Ringtails? Oh yeah, heck yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, that Zabumafu type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like eventually I got to go in and like I fed them like little fruits and stuff, and they were super chill. Like they were pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It was cool. Every time I leave school, I was on the way home. I walked by that pet store. I was like, I wonder what he got in today. Went in, just checked it out. Started shooting the shit, and Yeah,
And
it
boom.
was really like, these lemurs are dope as hell, you know.
Yeah.
I gotta check.
I'm really just here for the lemurs, man.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you go over to the little reptile section, and they had like iguanas and your typical stuff you see, like stuff that's in the pet stores that probably shouldn't be. But yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
Heck yeah, man. I dig it. So it all kind of started from there. That's pretty epic, man.
Yeah, and it just like, it's been a crazy ride. We went and, Mark Mandick helped us out a lot right out of the get-go. Ralph Davis helped us out a lot right out of the get-go.
Heck yeah.
Those two guys are pretty well where I built the majority of our collection from. And then, started taking little pieces here and there from other breeders in the States. And this was back way before, like, even like Reptiles Express, where now you can do like imports. They'll handle everything. They'll ship it right to your door. No, this is like, I had to go to the airport, clear customs, back to the thing, clear it, go through Fish and Wildlife and do that the inspections and all that stuff. But
all the headaches. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a headache, but I mean, where else were you going to get like a super phantom yellow belly at the time? Like, come on. Like,
right. That's true.
know.
Okay. So since you brought up Ralph, do you remember your first reaction when you saw that video of the flat line?
Yeah, bro. It was, what is that? How can I get them? And I actually have I don't know if it's a sibling or like a relative to it. There was a pastel Enchi, and I still have her to this day. She's Posset Clown. I've only got like 3 clutches out of her, but there's something else going on there. I don't know if it's like, and Ralph, he's hard to get a hold of now. I sent him an email with pictures, but no response really.
Yeah, it's funny. I sent him a message on Facebook the other day because I'd love to talk with Ralph. I haven't talked to Ralph in many years.
Right? Yeah.
So I sent him a message was like, "What's up, man? You probably don't even freaking remember me, but I see you're still doing things. You still got some stuff happening. Like, would love to have you on the podcast." And he totally read it and just left me on red. And I was like,
yeah. That was like even back in the day. It was like,
yeah,
it was just Ralph, I think. But no, he's a great guy, and he helped us out a lot with getting off the ground and access to some really cool stuff early on. And it was just sort of, I mean, he was the king, right? It was just the stuff he was making. I mean, I went back probably like a month ago. I went back and watched his videos from like 2011. And I was like, bro, I'd be happy to hatch any of this still today. Like any of it, like those super phantom combos. I'm like, yo, why is no one fucking with this stuff? Like, this stuff is cool.
It really
wearing all
is.
these super phantom combos. Everyone's like, no, clown. I'm like, man, I mean, I don't know, man. There's some other stuff here that's really cool. Clown's the most badass recessive gene there is, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I think a lot of stuff's been forgotten about.
I agree, man. And it was a shame seeing Ralph get out, because he had so much epic shit that was going on. So it's like, man, if he didn't get out, I can only imagine the kind of stuff that RDR would be pumping out right now. And we'd all just be like, okay, so there's no point in doing ball pythons anymore because it's basically just like Ralph and Justin and Ozzy, and then the rest of us are just going to hell.
Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes it feels that way. Like, but that's how I felt 10 years ago. It was like, oh my God, look what this guy's got. But that's just, it's easy to feel that way. But at the end of the day, like, if you put the time, you put the effort and you get the right animals and you start the projects and you have the forethought to do it, you can work your way up the totem pole, really. Yeah. And it's amazing seeing some of the guys that I knew at the start who have amounted, that's such a terrible way to say it, but haven't really they haven't really taken off. They haven't really done much. Yeah. They stayed in that like, oh, I don't want to take any risk. And it was like, that's cool, man. That's totally up to them. But then you see other guys who went the complete opposite direction and they took some risk, and now the stuff they're making, it's like, what the fuck? Like, dude. Yeah. Even these new guys, people having like, oh, it's my first clutch. I'm like, oh, what's it for? Oh, OD Yellow Belly Dreamsicles. What?
Yeah.
First clutch?
it is crazy, man. I always tell people, like, because I'll get that question a lot, what's the craziest thing to you when it comes to ball pythons? And I'm like, man, the fact that somebody's first snake can be a coral glow.
Yeah.
Like, that's so affordable.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I used to look at Nerd's website and see a male coral glow for $65K.
Yeah.
Now you can go buy it at fucking PetSmart for $350.
Yeah.
So
And-
yeah, it's crazy that your entry into this game can be, a mind-blowing creation if you're willing to put up a little bit of dough.
Absolutely. The coral glow thing, man, I almost got into that. Like it was like I shouldn't say that because I had nowhere near the funds to pick something. Well, like it was like this like turning point where we were sort of sitting there going like, the coral glows, the GHIs, it was all codom combos. And that was like, or incomplete dominance, I suppose. But that's what everybody wanted. And it was like that was the craze. And I just couldn't swing 20,000, 30, 40, 50,000 on snakes. It was just like, man,
Yeah.
I have like four Mojaves. Like I can't, and it just didn't make sense. So instead I called Mark and Kim Bell from Reptile Industries and I bought Pastel DG. And I was just like, as soon as I took it out of the bag, I was like, yo, why is this not like the thing everybody's looking at right now? This is blowing my fucking mind. And it just became like this thing. I kept everyone that came over, I'm like, yo, look at this. They're like, oh my God, what is that? They tell them Pastel DG. They're like, oh, is that like desert? I'm like, no, it's not. Is that desert hypo? No. And now, bro, I can't hatch enough of the things. It's like, probably 30 messages a day. Hey, what do you have for DG? I'm like, bro, that's sold out for like 6 months now. Like, call me in like 3 months. It's insane. It's just wild. But I just work with what you like, and I mean, everything has its time. Prove to people, show people what you see in it. Everything has potential.
Yes,
everything has potential, but it's just, it's up to you to unlock that. I can say, oh, it's got potential till I'm blue in the face, but if I just keep making the same shit over and over and over again, and it's not really like new, show people why you're so excited about it, and that's when things kind of take off for you.
Yeah, 100%. Rob and I have talked about that when it comes to like Borneo shorttails and blood pythons, because so much of it's like line-based breedings,
right?
So and they also don't have the greatest reputation, so you have to like get the people just as excited as you are.
Yeah,
and I guess it's something we don't necessarily think quite as much about for ball pythons, just because they're already a super popular pet.
Right.
So it's just a matter of getting the right customer on the right day. But when it's a project like that you've been in at, so early in the game, where you're like, oh, it's an awesome looking animal, but I'm going to go back over here to these blue-eyed leucistics and, these lemon blasts and shit, I'm going to stay over here, but to stick with it. And now it's literally like one of the hottest morphs on the market. It's like finally just getting those just desserts, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. And the crazy thing, like when you said about line breeding, right? Like pretty much every other species, line breeding is like what you do, right? It's like you want to make like the darkest blacks or this or that. And then in ball pythons, it's like, what's the next morph? What can we add to this? There's no like, it's not line bred. And I see guys that are doing some line breeding work. I don't mean to like rain on that parade whatsoever, but because it's an important thing, like Barnhart line black pastel. Fantastic looking black pastel, and it's the black pastel that I choose to use. But one of the problems with line breeding is like with ball pythons, like, this black, we made this Enchi look so much more reduced, and it's like, but I can like breed it to like an OD yellow belly and make it more reduced too. You know what I mean? It's like there's almost like a point in ball pythons where line breeding becomes like, why? Because there's a new morph every single day, it seems like. And it's just add that more. Where by the time you breed out like 4 or 5 gens of line breeding, like the market's like completely off somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's my worry with line breeding ball pythons. Now, technically everyone's line breeding because they're keeping their stock back and their best of their best. And that's, sort of line breeding. But if you were to like take an Enchi and be like, okay, I'm going to take this Enchi and then I'm going to breed it into this and I'm going to keep the best out and I'm going to just work on Enchi. I wonder how much you'd change that Enchi over 8 years, 10 years. I don't know the answer there. Is it so variable because it's a genetic trait, or is it, like with chondros, right? They're not genes. They're like, they're lines. They're, these parents were funky. Doesn't mean the babies are going to be right. But ball pythons like, oh, that had spider in it. Babies will have spider in it. It's like,
Yeah, it's definitely a much different way of thinking. Like when I was coming up, I had a lot of ball python stuff, but I was a colubrid guy, like big on
Okay.
colubrids, you know, and they're another one, like corn snakes was what I focused on a lot with. And, you know, there's plenty of morphs of corn snakes, but there was also a lot of attention to the line breeding. But
Sure.
you're almost forced into that sort of, because while there were a handful of recessive mutations, like that's all we had. And there
Right.
weren't very many new things popping up. So it was just like, how can I take this anery and make it the nicest anery possible?
Right.
You know, or like Rob, when we were at Daytona and we looked at Lee Abbott's
Oh
Extreme
my
Coral,
Lanta!
like, just these. So it's basically just like a ghost corn, so a hypoanery,
Yeah.
right? That they started to express a little bit of pink pigment. A little iridophore was starting
Okay,
to
cool.
bleed through. And Lee took those pink animals and bred them back into pink animals and bred them back into pink animals. And these things, bro, were so fucking fluorescent pink.
Literally, you could see them from
halfway down the
Yeah.
aisle.
Yeah.
Really?
Dude, I was like, I don't know how you melted a starburst onto your fucking corn snake, dude, but I want them all. Like, I fucking want them all, dude.
And I'm sure that's possible with ball pythons.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. It's got to be, right? It's possible with everything else. So why not with ball pythons? I don't want to be the guy to do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep up
Which is
with
fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna get I tons of respect to the guys that do it, and I will happily buy into that project.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to be the guy to spend my time trying to further an Enchi line. Now, in Tom's case, this is not a knock at Tom Harbin or Barnhart at all, because I super respect the guy. In Tom's case, he brought in a black pastel and was like, okay, this is really nice. I'm going to start my project with this animal. I believe that's how that whole scenario started. And so when I got my hat's off to him, like, look at those things, man. I have Barnhart black pastel clowns and a black pastel clowns. And I'm like, yo, dude, these look like different snakes.
Yeah.
These are different things, you know? And so, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I respect the line breeding thing.
Yeah.
I'm just a morph guy. You know,
Yeah.
I love I think what makes me so excited about ball pythons is okay, if I pair these two snakes together and I hit one of these, that will be het for this. And then I take that and it can go back into this. And like the logistics of
it's always forward thinking.
Catching one of these and then putting it over here, and that works with this. These projects tie together. That's really like the challenge and the excitement for me, because breeding ball pythons is not that difficult.
Right. That's exactly it. When you start to get to the people that, you know, they're working larger scale, there's a lot of similarity in that mentality where it's like, you know, breeding these animals is not a challenge, but thinking logistically and planning ahead to be like, hey, you know, I want to breed these two snakes to get this so that in 2 years I can breed it to that and get it to this and then go from there. So you can never rest. There's always some forward momentum.
You're always just like, I spend hours. I go and I sit in my room. I put a chair in the room. I kick my feet up on the rack and lean back in the chair and like look up at the wall.
Yes, I do the same shit.
Like, you know, okay, how would that tie into that? Okay, no, that won't work. This male, if I hit one of these, then that could work. You know, I just brainstorm for hours.
Yeah,
and I still do that 14 years later. You know, that's the fun part.
100%, dude. Yeah, that was me going into this year's breeding season. It was like just staring at a rack for multiple hours. I'm like, all right, what the fuck am I doing?
Where do I start? You know?
Yeah, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, no, it's I really enjoy that aspect of the ball pythons.
Heck yeah, man, 100%. And I think when it comes to like, just to touch back on the line breeding thing for a second, like trying to explain to people what that's like, you know, so as you're saying, you use the Barnhart black pastels because what they look like, and it overall seems like a better quality black pastel. I always try to explain to people, like, we understand genetics in its most basic sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we've talked, you know, Rob and I, we've talked with Steve Tillis, who will like break everything down to like the most minuscule molecular level, and you're like, holy fuck, I need to go back to school. But but the way I try to explain it to people is like, each genetic trait is a light switch.
Yeah.
Right. And it's either on or off. But that light switch is comprised of millions of other light switches.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah. So, you know, so you get, okay, the gene is on, but maybe there's one element of that part of the switch that's not on. You know, and that's what separates your black pastels from the Barnhart black pastels.
Sure.
You know, it's just an extra element that's been plugged into that light switch.
And the other thing is that, like, two different lines of something, you know, they can be used. Like, that's why I'm always like really skeptical of people that are like, oh, this line's better than that line. Better for what? What are you trying to do with it? Are you trying to design a combo and like, okay, this line will allow me to throw darker blacks into this snake, and that's the direction I'm trying to go with this specific combo that I'm picturing in my head. But this line's going to give me nice oranges and nice yellows, and that's going to work really well for a combo over here. So better, worse, it's so like, sure, better what?
You know, it's funny. I was listening to a podcast you did. I think it was with MJ or something, and you were talking about like the early days of like the forums, everybody on the forums, and how it was all just like everybody shitting on everybody else.
Oh yeah,
know, to just make their project ahead. And I remember those days quite well. And yeah, it's like, okay, it's worse than this, but for what reason? Like, how can you compare two things? Especially like if you were to talk about something like GHI and banana or something like that. Like,
exactly.
You can't compare those two because they do totally different things.
What? Like, they're different. You know, it makes no sense. Oh, my project's better. I guess if you want to make bubblegum looking snakes, you want to make dark snakes, banana's not doing shit for you, you know? Yeah. It's so it's just like I don't know. I think everyone gets into this like, you know, I think everyone just take a step back and like look at what the animal is. It's like, okay, this one's dark. This will work well in dark combos. This one's bright, probably a great addition for bright combos. Maybe we put the fuckers together and see what happens there. You know, it's I mean, there's so much we don't understand. And you know, like that analogy of like the gene's a light switch, but there's a million other light switches. Well, how do we figure out how to turn 50% of those other light switches on, or the other 50% on? Like it's there's also a ton of like randomness to it too, right? It's just polymorphism. Like,
yes, that is a word that most people in the ball python industry don't know or understand. and it drives me nuts because I mean, I'm sure you deal with it too. You get that person that sends you a message with a picture of their pastel and they're like, I don't know, man, it looks like a really weird pastel. You think there's something else going on in there? It's like, no, dude, it's just it hatched out of the egg at 60 degrees off to the right, and that made this flame bigger than the other one. Or I don't know, maybe it's gonna maybe you rolled the egg or something there. Yeah, you
definitely got something there. Hold everything back, breed it all back together, hold all those back, you know, run with that.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, man. If you see something, breed it, bro. That's really what it comes down to.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's funny because you know, when I was growing up, coming up into ball pythons, like Kevin at Nerd was one of my go-to people, you know, and he's Mr. Attention to detail for everything. And I remember asking him about like hidden gene woma and how to tell the difference between a hidden gene woma with granite and a hidden gene woma without granite, because now nobody really identifies granite much anymore, but there is a marker. But that first mention, he was like, look at that dot right there. And I was like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Right? Yeah. I'll tell you, bro, like, coming into this, like, it was like the Ralph and Kevin and like Rafi were doing the videos at Kevin's and stuff. Yeah. And I remember watching those, and Kevin would be like, you know, I don't know Kevin personally at all. So like, but it was just funny because it'd be like, this is a hidden gene woma, fader, yellow belly, granite, Enchi, leopard, spot. Like, how the fuck are you seeing this shit, man? Like, I was just looking at it like, that thing's like patternless. How they fucking you know? And I'm looking at my snakes going like, how does he see that? Like,
looking at it like, oh, there's fader in that.
But you know, the guy's definitely got an eye for detail, or he wouldn't be where he is.
Yeah, for sure. I always laugh because you know, we talk about these people that are like, oh, you know, there's something a little different with my snake, and it's like Kevin built Nerd on that entire thought process. So don't give up on your extra dots, people.
Right? Exactly, yeah. No, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And then there's stuff that actually is something. Right? Then there's the ones that I'm like, I've had people send those too, where they're like, does this look like something that's hatched out of a pastel to an Enchi? I'm like, okay, you got something there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Or
when
something
it's
happens
so
in
different that
incubation,
you're
or
like,
something's weird.
yeah, it's so different where you're like, okay, that could be polygenics, but it actually looks like maybe something got unlocked somewhere.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I mean, we start to see that. I think we're going to start to see that more frequently. The more, the more things we just start breeding to each other. I mean, look at like leopard essentially sneaking its way out of pied stuff.
Okay, so how do you guys feel about the idea of spontaneous mutation? So all of these genes, like one day, like an albino just hatched. Were those parents albino, or was that gene? Did that gene mutate in the egg, and that albino stemmed the rest of the albinos? Where did all these genes come from? They have to mutate somehow, right? They're mutations. Yes. And so now that ball pythons are being bred on such a giant scale, it's bound to be happening in your incubator. Are people going to just all of a sudden like, wait, what the fuck is this thing? This doesn't make any sense. They breed it. They're breeding it back to the parents, not making them again. But they breed it to something else and don't, like, you know what I mean? Like the mom is not het. The baby is a visual. How did that happen? Well, it was a spontaneous mutation in the egg. It's, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe is that a thing? I mean, how did banana come to be?
Right. I could certainly see it happening. I mean, from
like, look at incomplete dominance. All of a sudden there was a banana.
Right. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it has to exist somewhere on that allele, but what makes it actually click and become,
turn that light switch on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's
exactly. So how does that work?
Exactly.
And will that start happening in incubators?
Dude, just roll your eggs. That's it.
Yeah.
Put them in the old school Hovabator with the chicken egg rotator, and you'll get some weird shit, guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah. Put a bit of rotisserie, just
oh, my Lanta.
Yeah.
Look at every ball python breeder in the chat right now is like, what the fuck is going on?
That's how he's been making those.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no,
that's what made Spider wobble. Just saying.
Yeah. But it's just like that, how does that work? It's all of a sudden there was a phantom. All of a sudden there's a blackhead, a banana, a GHI, a spot nose. Go on and on and on and on. And they came from somewhere. They don't just naturally, well, they naturally occur, but they mutated somehow.
Right.
And I just wonder, is weird anomalies and stuff like that, is that potentially what's going on? I don't have the answer. Someone way smarter than me has to answer that question. I just think of this idea.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. 100%.
It's gotta be possible.
Thinking on genetics in a more advanced, like most people don't do that because we're so standardized in the Mendelian genetic of like, okay, this is a Mojave. I breed this to a normal. I'm going to get normals and Mojaves. This is albino. I breed it to a het. I make albinos and hets. And
right.
That's it. So to start having the conversations about like polygenics, spontaneous genetic mutation, like these are important to start thinking about, and it's just taking genetics to the next level. The downfall becomes when you get the people who are just like, this sounds like biology class, and like turn off.
What do you think you're doing in your basement? Like pretty much, you're breeding genes, and like that's the fun of it, right?
Yeah,
I love that like brainstorm. Like, okay, hang on, think about that. How the fuck did a banana just all of a sudden pop up? Not only just pop up, is like sex linked. Only gene that we can think of that like males produce males, females produce male. Like, it's like, what the fuck? How does that happen?
Yeah.
Nature's a crazy fucking thing. And, that's just,
yeah. The sex linkage of the banana coral glow stuff. I mean, like that was one of the most like mind blowing
super absurd
moments, what the hell, and to me, I mean, obviously now 90% of what we see is all males. It's just coming from male makers, and because now nobody keeps track of the generations, But I mean, that's crazy to freaking think about.
It is.
It's this wild. Crazy ass mutation. Now
the only one like it.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing else touches that.
And the most impactful gene in the last 10 years, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that gene, like all of it, when Banana came out, everybody was just like, what the fuck is that? We've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And then now it's still a commonplace gene. It's still a commonplace gene in every collection.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, that was just and then males, a male bred to another female makes males. Unless that male came from a female. It's like, I was like, you know, like 8 months into ball pythons, I was like, what the fuck am I getting myself into?
Dude, listen, I can't imagine somebody trying to get into ball pythons
Today?
now.
Yeah, for real.
You know, it's like when I started keeping ball pythons 16, 17 years ago, it was like, okay, we got about 30 morphs and like, okay, I get this. Now it's like, holy shit, like, why are there so many combos? What is going on?
Man, it's going to get, like, I can handle, like, the doubles, like, how to make triples, how to best attack a triple recessive project. You start to get into, like, quads, stuff like that. It starts to become, like, I have to, stop for a second and go, like, hang on. This is a double visual, double head. This is, here's my outcomes. Here's the odds. And I'm just like, holy fuck. This is getting crazy.
Yeah. Then you add allelic shit into the mix too, you know, Candino, Kryptons, all that stuff, and it's just it's an extra level.
The guys who understand Krypton right now, if you're not paying attention to that, that is a cheat code for clowns. Mm-hmm. It's a biological hack to pick out het clowns. Mm-hmm. And people are still like, I want the pure cryptic. I'm like, go ahead. Working with the Krypton allows you to pop that into, like, all of a sudden it's acting like a visual clown. I'm able to pick, like, if I take a Krypton, breed it into one of my combo het clowns, not only do I now have those genes that were in the clown, which is a much more developed project, hold over into the cryptic project, but I can now, normally I'd have a 1 in 4 shot. Oh, those are my clowns. The rest is 66% het. But when you all of a sudden, I can start to pick out the Kryptons in the clutch, I know with 100% certainty they're het clown. And now I can start to use that to your advantage, especially when you start having other recessives on top of there, like a hypo Krypton. Okay, that really starts to really become advantageous to, okay, I can start picking out those het clowns that are het hypo. You know, it's a cheat code, man, and no one's really paying attention to it.
Yeah, that was I think that was one of the was it next to the Candino, Toffino stuff. I mean, there's not much in the world of allelic recessives. So when that got stumbled upon, I will never forget the conversation I had with Kevin, because a lot of people don't realize that the cryptic started with Kevin.
Yeah.
And he was disappointed in the project and just kind of let the project go because he assumed it was going to be an incomplete dominant mutation. The way it looked, he figured it was going to be something.
You could make that argument, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and so he kind of was like, you know, it's not doing what I expected it to do, and let it go. And I think most of it ended up in the hands of the Bells.
Yeah.
You know,
that's I stumbled on it because I originally got the Desert Ghost stuff from the Bells, and before we had even figured it out, I was calling them faux clowns. Like, if you go back in my, these are faux clowns. I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
And because I was breeding clowns to my Desert Ghost, trying to make double hets, and I kept making these, like, what the fuck? That's not a pastel leopard. You know, and I was making these things, and I'm like, people are coming over, like, yeah, it's just a weird pastel. I'm like, dude, if you think that's a pastel leopard,
no, there's something else.
Just stop. You know, and I had been growing them up, and then all of a sudden, sort of like my conversations with Santiago and Justin and Billy and all the guys who had sort of been making them, sort of came together and sort of like, maybe this is allelic. And I wasn't the one who thought that it was allelic. I believe that was a conversation that happened between Justin, Santiago, and Tom Harbin. I believe I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But I believe they figured they sort of brainstormed it all together and figured that out. And then the news broke, and I was like, aha.
Yep.
That's why I can fucking make them. Like, that's why I keep making them.
Yep. Yeah, when I told Kev, Kev was by the piranha tank in the pet store, and I was like, dude, you're never gonna get this. And he's like, what? And I was like, you know that project, the cryptic project? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, it didn't do anything. And I was like, guess what, buddy? It's allelic to clown. And he lost his freaking mind. He was like, what? I got rid of all this. I should have been breeding. God damn, I was so disappointed. I just fucking let it go. Then next thing you know, he's got like every clown visual thing in the building going to the last couple of cryptics and cryptics that he had floating around.
Yeah.
It was, it was crazy. He's like, I never would have thought about it. It was like,
I was watching him by accident. And because my desert ghost was a het, I couldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, I was breeding clowns to a desert ghost. And I'm like, I don't know. There's something at first I thought there's something in my clown.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's got to be the clown. This is just a desert ghost. It doesn't look like anything, but it was some crazy clown combo. So I was like, wow, there's got to be some sort of variability going on there. And it turned out it was the female that was making all that. And then I started to be able to backtrace. Oh, hang on. She's het. That means she's paw set and she's paw set and she's paw. And we're slowly been proving those out.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. I want to point out this comment just because it's super important with everything that's going on right now. This is Mike over at Mike's Monitors donated one of his hatchling coming out of the U.S. ARC auction in Arlington, and it brought in $1,300. That's awesome, dude.
Amazing.
So yeah, hopefully everybody that's here in the chat and is listening is aware of what's going on here in the U.S. with the proposed Lacey Act amendments in the America Competes Act of 2022. Shameless plug for it because it's happening. If you want to check it out, on the 17th of this month, I'll be doing a live stream on Instagram with Phil Goss, Brian Barczyk, and Mason Barnes, and we're just going to be talking about everything that's going on. Phil and Dave Kaufman and Ryan and Erica McVeigh did a great live stream here on YouTube talking about it and got some great info out there, and they raised quite a bit of money for US ARC with the super chats and everything, and that was epic. All right, before we continue, I'm going to run our ad break really quick. We'll come back in about 2 minutes. Black Box Cages, located in Buford, Georgia, is your one-stop shop for all of your caging and rack needs. Owners Jen and Clint are at the helm of this fantastic company. With one of the shortest lead times in cage and rack manufacturing, Black Box can satisfy anyone's needs. From baby racks to V70s, arboreal and terrestrial caging to deep-fronted bioactive enclosures. You can find everything you need right here. New enclosure sizes and products are added frequently to their availability, so be sure to check back often. Black Box Cages have tons of customizing options for lighting and heating. Along with that, cages and racks can be stacked with metal stacking dowels, and all cage joints are dadoed for improved durability and stability. Most cage units are flat packed, but are pre-assembled prior to shipping to ensure a solid build every time. The Micro, XC18, XT3, Bio-G, and 3-stack V70 ship assembled, and all other racks are shipped freight and assembled. The XR16 and XR20 model racks allow keepers to mix and match tubs. Fitting both Vision and Freedom Breeder tubs, you can mix the V15, V18, and V35S tubs, or the FB5, FB8, and FB35CV SC tubs. This kind of flexibility allows keepers to raise their animals from hatchling to juvenile or subadult size before needing to upgrade into adult caging. Don't just take our word for it. Go to their website to see countless customer reviews and review videos from keepers all over. To learn more about Black Box Cages, follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Black Box Cages, and of course their website, www.blackboxcages.com. Links to their socials and website will be available in the podcast description. The Show Me Reptiles and Exotic shows are taking the country by storm. Dedicated to education, quality, and engagement, you can expect a wonderful experience at a Show Me show, be it an expo or an educational event. Founders Mickey and Tamara are working tirelessly to not only create memorable expos and educational events, but also to engage in conservation efforts and industry preservation. They are proud US ARC supporters and do a lot to ensure that they spread the word at every show. Find a Show Me Snakes show near you. Shows are hosted in 19 states, from Rhode Island to Florida, Colorado to Texas. There's sure to be one near you. The Show Me show territory is ever growing, so if there isn't one by you just yet, hang tight. To find out more info about the Show Me shows, to book an educational event, or just to learn more in general, make sure you check out their website, showmesnakes.com. All of the links to their socials and, of course, their website will be available in the podcast description. Bam! So massive shout out to our two sponsors for the show, Black Box Cages and the Show Me Snakes reptile shows and educational events. Go check both those guys out. All of their links are in the description. Yeah, go check them out. Buy yourself a cage and go check out an awesome reptile show. Who wouldn't want to do both of those things?
Hey,
Well, you know who I like? I've never spoken to him, but I've been like a silent follower for a long time. Is Mike's Monitors, the cages that guy builds, bro? I'm like, holy shit!
Yes.
Like, you know, I've watched YouTube videos and stuff of people touring his place, and I'm just like, I would love to just. I don't know if you're listening, Mike, or you got time. I'd love to chat with you about doing a help me build a terrarium for a blue tree monitor, because I think that's just like incredible. I would love to put it in my living room. You know, it's like a piece of art, not a cage.
Yes, absolutely, dude. I was like geeking out at Tinley. He had that enclosure, that display enclosure made out of like the wine barrel or the whiskey barrel.
The whiskey cork
And I was like, what the hell, man? Like, that's badass.
Right? So sick, man. That's like, you know, like my fiance, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put the blue tree in the corner. She's like, no, you're not. That's in an Exoterra, you know, and I'm like, yeah, but if I put it in like a nice whiskey cask, it had like obviously a blue tree, not in that, but you know, like the idea of that, I'm just like, that's amazing. Amazing. I've been watching a lot of videos about guys doing like planted vivariums, and like I saw one guy do like no animals in it. It was like a 6 foot by 5 foot tall, and he just did like a jungle planted terrarium, and it was just like, oh my god. Like, I don't need anything on the wall. I just want to look at that. You know? It's just like incredible. It was just like, holy. It's shit, I forgot the guy's name. He's got like a bunch of vivarium builds on YouTube. He's an artist though.
Oh,
he's got a ton of vivarium builds. I'd have to. I'll email you guys the link.
Yeah, I'm sure as soon as you send it over, I'll be like, oh yeah, that guy.
He's done like a living, like on his desk, cut out like a spot where his keyboard goes, and under the keyboard is a glass he built into it, and then he has moss and stuff growing in it, and some like isopods and stuff in there. I was like, dude, this is crazy. The stuff he's done, I'm just like, oh my god.
Serpa design.
That's it, Serpa design. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, incredible stuff. But, yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
I love I really enjoy the. I suck at it, but I really enjoy the vivarium builds. Like I did one for my tree monitor. Had a lot of fun with it.
Heck yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the perfect segue. I know we've been talking about ball pythons, and I know everybody here enjoys ball python talk, but you don't just keep ball pythons.
I don't know. I mean, I do. Like that's what I breed. You know? Right. Everything else I just look at because I don't know how to breed shit. But yeah, no, I have some Trimarchon. I got some yellowtails and some Mexican rubidus, and then a green tree and a blue tree. And
heck yeah.
I mean, this is the ball python side of me. I'm like, yo, can you breed a green tree and a blue tree monitor together? I know a monitor guys.
Look at Rob's face. Is like,
see, you know what I mean? Yeah, like why would you even say that, right? I know that's the original. I know that's the original thing, but like, imagine we made like a purple one, bro. Come on.
Look, I'm gonna get.
It would be purple.
I'm gonna get a message from Rob. Just fucking ball python guys. Get no more.
Yeah, no more ball python guys on the podcast. Sorry.
So
it's not for me.
Here's my thinking. Like, they all come from the same like area. They're basically the same friggin' species. Like for the most part, the caging requirement, like every husbandry requirement on them is the same, from what I can understand. I'm no expert with tree monitors. I actually really suck at keeping them. But I just like to think of these things. Like, what if you bred a black and a blue? What do you make, like, you know, an in between?
They've already done it.
They have?
Yeah, they're ugly.
What do you look
they're
like?
fucking abominations. They look like an ugly black. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Rob, that's racist.
Okay. Damn. Well, I'm glad someone did it because, like, you have to try these things, right?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Okay.
Oh
If
god.
I see you, it's fight on site, bro. It's fight on site.
Let's do it. Whoop my ass, but
I know what the next October Tinley Rumble is going to be.
Legit. I'll raise money for US Arc. We're throwing hands. No hybrid tree monitors.
Look at my ass beat for US Arc. I mean, yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that. I'm gonna get up and still come at you with these ideas, bro.
Yeah. Just every blow is just like blue
What about
tree to red.
I was like, wow, this guy's cool. He's got tree monitors. He's like, what if we hybridize them? It's like, oh, he's not cool anymore.
Another species I'd love to keep is basins, the basin emeralds.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with them. I think they're the coolest, probably the coolest snake there is, to be honest. I mean, the Bolins are really cool too, but I just have this thing for that like bulldog head hanging from a branch. Like, it just, that look, you know, in a nice, I know, like the breeders and stuff, and even most keepers keep them in a pretty simplistic style setup. But I would love to see one in a nice planted tank and like just as a pet. I don't want to breed the thing. I don't really want to breed. I just want to like observe it because they're just gorgeous. They're just unbelievably pretty. I don't want to handle the thing because I'm going to get lit up. But
basins are actually pretty chill. I've handled a lot of basins. I've only come close to getting bit like twice. Once when I was sexing on, and then once when Lucas was holding one.
I've heard they're a lot more chill than northerns.
They're real chill. They're super chill. Like, I literally would just open up the cage at Nerd, and I could just stick my hand in and just pat him on the head. They don't care.
Really? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that with northerns, but
don't
basins,
do that
you
with
can
northerns.
do
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Basins is chill, though.
They're incredible. They're incredible looking animals. So,
Yeah, they really are. And if you do get them in a nice badass setup like that, where it really is naturalistic, I mean, it's cool. We had it was a northern. I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was a basin that one that ended up in the education room.
Those are northerns.
Those are northerns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. I just remembered it was an emerald tree bow. I just didn't remember which one. But it was all planted out and, you know, branches and everything in there. And going into that room and seeing that thing just kind of set on there, perched around all that greenery and everything, you're like, that just looks dope.
Yeah, I think Julia planted that tank. It came out really cool.
It really did come out awesome.
Yeah. No, it's a very, very cool.
Heck yeah.
Have you seen the basin hybrids? Huh? So here's the deal. That's one of the few hybrids that actually came out decent looking is the basin northern hybrids because they created those crazy snowflake things.
Oh, is that what those are?
Yeah.
Those are hybrids. Okay, I did not know that. I thought they were just like line bred basins. I've seen some cool hybrids, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Look, Will. I'm just.
They all
tell
look the
you,
same while they're going down King Cobra's throats. They all look the same while they're getting.
They got to eat too, you know. I have no.
They do, yeah.
That's true. Will, I was gonna say, as long as you don't say anything about blood or short tail hybrids, because if you start saying shit about blood or short tail hybrids,
I'll log off right now. I'll log off right now. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like,
I will log off right fucking now.
I saw what it was. I think it was like a Woma. No, it wasn't a Woma. And might have been a Woma. But somebody up in Canada made them. I saw them at the show. And then like all the genes passed over from ball pythons. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say, like, I do not own a hybrid. I've never bred a hybrid. I've never done any of that stuff. I kind of say it tongue in cheek because every time I mention it, even my dad's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, why do you say that? You know, I'm like, well, it'd be cool. He's like, no. But the genes passing over, I was like, whoa! Like I gotta say, they looked cooler than all the ball pythons on the table.
Yeah, that is the one thing when it comes to a hybrid, any hybrid that's been used with ball pythons is it never seems like anybody uses a morph. Or they throw like a pastel or a normal or something, and it's like, okay, like cool. We already know what it looks like, but yeah, do a banana, do a spider
or something, right? And
yeah, somebody did like the Super Bowl hybrid, but they used a bumblebee.
Yeah, they did. I saw those,
and I was like, okay, I'm not a fan of that hybrid, but that does really look badass.
And
it looks different.
Hybrid's viable.
Yes.
Right.
Most of them. Well, depends on what it is, but yeah, a lot of them are.
So, in theory, you could take ball python genes, move them over into bloods, and then breed it into the blood, like breed blood back to blood. I can see
you're getting on Rob's edge of logging off.
I'm joking, bro. I'm joking. But just the genetic concept of that is very cool. I'm not doing it. I don't recommend people do it, but it's cool that it's possible.
That's amazing.
Does he know that there are piebald blood pythons? Like, there's lots of cool blood python morphs. You don't have to like bastardize them with some shit that doesn't belong in there.
But it's true. The pied bloods are badass. If you haven't seen those, Will, you should fucking take a look at those.
I have seen some. John Dyer, I believe, has one.
Oh yes, yeah. You're right.
Balthazar, yeah. I believe he has one. So I keep my eye on that kind of stuff too. You know, I'm not completely ball python.
Look, so now, Rob, you know what we're gonna hear if we ever have if you ever let me have Will back on now, because it's gonna be, what do you think about breeding a pied ball python to a pied blood python?
You think they're compatible pied?
Yeah, let's take a $25,000 albino or piebald blood python and breed it to $100 fucking pied ball python. Sweet, let's do it. And then we could charge $5 million on it because people don't give a fuck about the actual snakes. They just care about the money.
Not before you take that hybrid and breed it to a pied berm.
They might as well. They might as fucking well.
I mean, that's...
I would be interested to know if it lined up the same.
On the same allele? Just do genetic testing. Just test it.
Yeah, but that takes time and money. I'm talking about just breeding the damn things.
You're passionate about not doing it, eh?
Yeah,
I'm just neutral. I'm like, if you have the snakes, you choose to do it, that's your choice.
I got a big block list on Facebook from people who said they're going to hybridize snakes, so I don't ever sell my snakes to them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Rob is very much against it.
Yep.
All of them?
99% of them.
So what's the exception? Why is that exception not in that? Why is it not 100%?
It's the naturally occurring hybrids.
There are some that are naturally occurring, like the Amazon Emerald hybrid has been documented from wild animals a bunch of times. Even then, a lot of them don't survive well. I've been watching. I think it's Warren Booth has got a hybrid one that came in, and he's been growing it because I've talked to 3 different people who have had hybrid Amazon Emeralds, and every single one of them are like, they look badass, but you have to like limp them along because they don't shed right, they don't grow right, they don't breed. And it's like, okay, well, besides them looking interesting, they're not like, they just live this tortured existence. So what the fuck is the point? And then like a lot of the people who do Dayton is the one who's got one too.
Yep.
But a lot of people who are like, well, hybrids are fine. It's like, if you look at most of the hybrids, they're not fine. Like there's lots of issues with them.
It's just from the perspective where I have like absolutely zero information on how those hybrids do. How like I don't know anybody who breeds them. I guess I know one guy who made some, but I come from the perspective of just like I see the picture of the animal, I'm like, man, that's cool, you know. And you even have to admit that like those genes passing over, that's interesting as hell. You know,
the fact that they exist at all in their species that they belong in is cool as hell, right? No, let's just not appreciate it. Just take it all for granted.
Appreciate it though, or else you wouldn't be doing it, right? I feel
I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of this. I'm just saying.
We can go on Reptile Fight Club and we'll just fight about it. I got a lot of shit to say.
Man, it's all good. Man.
Oh, that's funny. I see. So I come from a place of like, I'm not super big on hybrids. I don't necessarily fall one way or the other. The biggest issue that I ever have with hybrids is honestly usually falls on the colubrid hybrid projects, because a lot of them will end up looking more like one species or the other, depending on what's going on, and then those animals end up getting mislabeled
constantly,
and sold as
misrepresented.
Or
Yep.
misrepresented, yeah. And then they're sold as one thing, they get plugged in somewhere, and then you just get this muddying up of those waters, that ordinarily wouldn't happen just because they weren't identified correctly.
Right. Okay.
So that's when I have the issue, and like I said, that usually ends up pertaining more to the colubrid side of it than the python and boa side of it.
Borneos and bloods, man.
They're the same thing, right, Rob?
If you've got 3.5 brain cells, sure, yeah.
Today's just been irritate Rob day on the podcast.
It must be.
I'm here for it.
I didn't know it was a full moon out tonight. Like, fuck.
Man, I didn't know it was that. Like,
dude, it's gonna be no more ball python guys, no more Canadians, no more.
No. I know some cool Canadians. Come on now. But no more ball python people.
That's fair. Most of us,
This is how the conversation goes a lot of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I understand. It's just I have that wonder. I wonder what would happen. Not saying that I need to go out and breed hybrids. I don't have any intention of doing it. I do perfectly fine with ball pythons. And I have lots of ball python stuff to keep me busy for a long time. But seeing somebody make them, I'm like, oh shit, that's interesting as hell. That's where I stand on it. And then I wonder, well, what if you put those together? What would that do?
Then the ball python mind takes over.
Yeah, it's just that curiosity that I'm just starts rolling. And I understand how it would trigger somebody who might not share that mindset. Which is fine, right? It's cool.
It's gonna be okay, Rob. I'm giving you a virtual hug. It's gonna be
we're
okay.
good, bro. It's fine. It's good. Rob, what are you keeping?
Man.
Talk to us about your projects, bro. I want to hear more about this.
Rob's
No.
keeping pure genetic lineage.
Yeah, I'm
everything
keeping
he's
pure species of the things that I've got.
That's cool. Yeah, that's fine.
except for the jungle jag.
Yeah,
And
the IJ Jag.
the IJ
Which
jag, yeah.
and the main reason I don't have as much of an issue with those is because carpet python people ruined it 30 years ago, and I don't honestly believe that there's hardly any pure jungle carpets in the U.S. I mean,
That's probably
some
fair.
of those guys who've got the locality things, sure, but every single one of those highlighter black and yellow ones, I'm like, I don't know about all you guys. IJs are one of the few carpets where you could be like, okay, this is a
It's a
pure
pure
species carpet python, but coastals and jungles, even diamonds, a lot of those people ruined that shit 30 years ago, and there's no way, or there's very little way for us to be able to tell if that's actually true nowadays. So
True. And also, wait, I guess technically I retract my statement on the jungle jag, because technically they're the same.
they're the
thing
same
now.
species
Yeah,
now.
they were reclassified. So
Do either of you guys? I know you do some ball pythons. Rob, do you do any ball pythons at all?
I have a couple ball pythons. Guess what? I've got a 6-year-old bumblebee ball python that has never produced. I tried to breed her once in the 6 years that I've had her, and I've never produced anything from her because I really wasn't trying to actually fucking breed her. I just think she's cool. And then I've got a couple killer clowns and a pastel lesser clown and a pastel butterhead clown and a normal clown. Just those things. I don't have a lot of ball pythons. I've got 6 ball pythons.
What is your take on the ball python market? What's being produced? You have to admit they're incredible.
Yeah, so people are making some pretty cool stuff. The first time I saw Pastel Highway, I was like, this is the coolest freaking ball python to come out in 20 years. It's just amazing. And then watching some of the stuff that Cabelka produced, what was it? Oh man, it was a Axanthic Desert Ghost clown.
Yeah,
dude, that thing is bonkers, and it hasn't even grown, so the Desert Ghost really gets to show itself off yet. So it's just when I saw that thing, I lost my mind. I was like, this is the coolest ball python ever. It's literally the coolest ball python I've seen, period.
yeah.
So that stuff's just interesting to me. But
Did you see the DG clown pied that he just showed off?
No,
That
I've not seen it yet.
that looks pretty
It's gonna
sweet.
look wicked as an adult.
Yeah, 100%.
Although
I'll have to go after and look at that.
I
Yeah.
think that the DG Axanthic clown will be a more striking adult.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. I
It's
agree.
that black
100%.
and white contrast that's just holy shit.
Yeah.
right? And that's a platform that can be built on for years.
Years and years and years.
It's incredible looking animals that are going to come from that.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is a really badass animal. It's funny. I talked to Justin a couple days ago. We were just talking about some U.S. ARC stuff, and he was like, "Man, I wish I could just do something and make all this legislation go away." And I was like, "Well, I can send you my address, and you can send me that Desert Ghost Axanthic Clown, and I'll work my ass off for the value of that snake to make sure this doesn't pass." He's like, "Oh, is that what it's going to take?" I was like, "I'm just saying. I'll work really hard."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why haven't we talked about Monsoon yet? What's the issues with that?
Dude, because Will said that he loves Monsoon and he doesn't want to spoil any surprises. And if you believe that, then good for you. No.
I don't like it. That's not the case. It's not that I don't like it. I do like Monsoon. I'm worried about it. That's my take on it. I am worried that it's such a powerful gene that it's going to overpower whatever we put into it. And when it comes to designing a combo or making a combo, I'm trying to look 3 or 4 years in the head. Like, what can I get Monsoon into that's really going to alter? And because when you take a gene and put it into something and it's just the other gene all the time, it starts to become like, shit, how can I change this? That's the whole point of ball python combos. How do we make it look different? And I worry that Monsoon might not give us that ability that easily.
So Super Phantom Monsoon.
Don't think it'll work that well.
Super Phantom Monsoon.
No.
Might be crazy, right?
It might be.
I don't know anything about ball pythons. I don't know. Like, what the we were talking about Super Phantoms earlier. I was just saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were talking about. We were like, it didn't react crazy different with leopard. It didn't react crazy different with spider.
Right.
So as far as really intense pattern mutations, that it could interact with.
Those are two genes that put pretty much with anything. You'll see them. Right. You put leopard or spider into name another combo, really. Mm-hmm. You'll see the leopard or the spider. This is the first time I've seen leopard or spider wiped out. And that's I was kind of like, holy shit. Okay, hang on a second. Trying to think what else could we put into that. Now, regardless, if Monsoon's just always going to be that pattern, still a huge future for it because there's tons of color pattern mutations, hypo DG, ultramels, lavenders. You can do all that sort of stuff with it and run for years and years and years. So there's nothing wrong with that. I just I love the pattern manipulation more so than the color. Just adding color. I love the oh shit, that's a totally new pattern that we can go work towards.
Axanthic Desert Ghost Monsoon.
That'd be fucking badass, bro.
I bet you it's looking white and just zigzags everywhere.
Yeah, bro. It'd be really badass.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh shit.
I start that actually.
See, look at that. Look at that, Rob. You're a regular ball python breeder now.
I said 3 words in a row.
Not enough.
Sorry, 4 words.
You need more words.
4 words.
If you aren't scratching your head trying to figure out what the hell you just said after you said it.
Yeah. No, I know what Axanthic is because I thought that's a cool project.
Hey, I'm just happy you're saying Axanthic and not Exanthic.
Listen, it's Axanthic, damn it. Axanthic.
Where do you stand on that, Will? Is it Axanthic or Exanthic?
Axanthic.
Okay, all right. See,
yeah.
See, Rob, there's no G in there.
Yeah, I know. I never fit in with the ball python people.
That's actually another another gene that is surprising to me. Where you see we have different lines of desert ghosts, they prove compatible. Different lines of clowns that prove compatible. Lavenders prove compatible. Now I guess the ultramel, caramel monarch thing. I don't. Excuse me. I haven't seen anyone conclusively breed them together. Mm-hmm. I've just heard rumors. They did this, but I haven't seen hey, here's them locked. Here's a clutch. Here's the babies. I haven't seen that yet, so don't know there. But Axanthic is a different one. It's all of the Axanthic lines are all non-compatible.
Yeah,
there's some hypo ones. I actually kind of screwed myself early on. I bought from Gulf Coast a fire hypo, thinking, damn, this is gonna be sick. And I brought in a fire hypo, I bought the fire hypo from Ken Machek, and then I bought a vanilla hypo from Gulf Coast. And this was like when Gulf Coast had their vanilla stuff coming out. And I brought in the vanilla hypo, and I was like, dude, I'm going to make a vanilla cream hypo. It's a 1 in 4 shot. Put them together. I made vanilla creams, double het hypo because there were non-compatible lines, and I was not aware of it. I was like, fuck. Yeah. Now, this far down the road, I wish I kept them because it would have been fun to tinker. Like, can you see the double hypo stacked together? I don't know.
Yeah, how would that come
Probably
across?
not, but like, what's another bin, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
That was the most real thing ever from a ball python guy. Hey, what's one more bin? Yeah, it's okay.
The rack's not full, so
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The rack's
I try not to have the entire room full. I try to always have some space, you know, like because I like being able to be like, okay, this snake's off of food. I'm going to move it into a different bin, see if that gets it back on food. Just be able to shuffle stuff around a bit and have that flexibility as opposed to, you know, everything's just completely jammed to the ceiling, and try not to do that. But.
Yeah, for sure. Heck yeah, man. All right, so we're wrapping up our time, but before we let you go, Will, we always ask our guests one final question to wrap it all up. So that question for you, sir, is what in the realm of reptiles, be it something in your collection, something you've seen scrolling the internet or anything like that, what in the realm of reptiles has you excited about reptiles?
Honestly, the community, not the animals themselves. It's the people, man. Like I've met people that like, you know, are going to be my homies for life. Like, it's just like, and we all, you know, all because we're just like outcasts that like snakes and lizards and stuff, you know, it's like, it's, and like just look around. Like there's likely an auction happening right now where like probably hundreds of thousands of dollars are being donated by guys breeding snakes to keep this going, you know, like that blows my mind that that's a thing. And I think just as a community, like everyone's going to have their differences. Everyone's going to have that shit. But at the end of the day, we're all on the same fucking team here.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just like, that's crazy to me. It's like, you know, the animals themselves, incredible. The projects people are working, incredible, but it's the actual people in the industry that I enjoy the most.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
That's all about. So if people want to find out more about you and the projects that you're working on and the stuff that you're doing, where should they go to find you?
Just Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Royal Canadian Reptiles, royalcanadianreptiles.ca. Really just Google it, to be honest. Pretty easy. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Bam.
That's where it's at.
That wraps it up for us, dude. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks
again,
guys.
us, dude.
Appreciate it.
Heck yeah,
Post
man.
Dev.
We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.